Welcome back. This is John from Second Chance Shed. Today we're going to be looking at this mower that I picked up. Let's have a look down here. There was a bloke and he was shifting house, so he needed to get rid of a lot of things that he had, a few mowers, and he had this advertised for 25 bucks. He said that there was a problem somewhere in the throttle. I can see here that there's some tape, electrical tape around the throttle cable. The throttle up here doesn't seem to be anything wrong there. So he said it starts. We'll see how it goes. I might try to start it up, see if it works. It's a Victor Corvette Series 400. I think the 400 stands for 400 mil cutting area. So overall, first impressions, doesn't look too bad. It's not too dirty. The wheels look fairly good condition. The engine, it's not really that dirty. This engine, it's a Briggs & Stratton. As you can see here, Briggs & Stratton. And the model for this engine is the Sprint 375. If you're curious, it's a 4-stroke. I prefer the 4 strokes. Means no mixing of oil and fuel together, a lot less fooling around. A little bit of yellow paint on the deck there. There is some paint that is chipped, and there's a little hole just there. I don't know if you can see, there's a little hole in the deck. Other than that, there's not much else to say about it. We can have a little look under the deck. Just remember, when you do look under a deck, there's pretty much only 2 ways. You can push the mower back like that, and that's a pretty conventional way to do it, or you can turn it up. As long as the air filter, as you can see there, the air filter is the highest point. So under here, doesn't look too rusty. There's a bit of caked up grass and a spider. The blades, not terrible, they might be salvageable, but fairly clean, Alright, this did come with a catcher. This is the catcher here. I've already had a little look at that catcher. No big cracks, just needs a bit of a clean up. Let's have a look at the back flap. Looks all fairly clean, springs back quite nicely. So my position on this, I just really want to sort of get it going. If I need to change the air filter or change the oil, I'll do that, and hopefully we'll have a going mower. Okay, as you can see, I can't really get this started. There is compression, but it's not firing. I'm not sure if that is a fuel problem yet or a spark problem, ignition problem. Let's dive into it and see what we find. Okay, pretty grotty looking spark plug. You can see there's actually a lot of rust build up on the outside of the plug, and a lot of carbon, and a bit of oil, it looks like there. So let's see if we get any spark out of it. So I've just got my little sort of spark tester. It should light up here if there's any spark. Hopefully that's a connection there. It doesn't really feel too great. Let's see what we get. Alright. Nice. Was definitely getting some spark out of that. You probably couldn't see, but here every time I pulled the cord, lots and lots and lots of spark here. So this plug, I might not even have to buy a new one. I could probably just clean this one up. Alright, at least we know it's not the ignition. So whenever I'm putting a spark plug back in, I like to just do it up about sort of finger tight and really sort of just nip it up. There's no need to over tighten it. You don't want to push that spark plug right deep into the cylinder head. Okay, nice positive connection. Okay, now I'm just going to take off the air filter and have a little look down straight into the carburetor. Okay, that looks already, that air filter is filthy. Absolutely filthy. Okay, nice little metal cover. The top doesn't look too bad. This little thing here, this little plastic fitting, I haven't seen one of those before on one of these Briggs & Strattons. But yeah, that's filthy, that's really dirty. That's going to have to get replaced, or, I mean, maybe I could clean this up, possibly, we'll see. Alright, I'll put that aside. Okay, so just looking down into the carby, lots of grot and build up from oil. It looks like this has been turned over and oil has somehow got into the carby. That's why the air filter is a bit dirty. The springs are all there, nothing really missing. Okay, so let's see if I can get this started without the air filter on, and then we might try something else if it doesn't work. Okay, so as you can see, just removing the air filter doesn't do the job. It's still not starting. I might have to try something else. Alright, so this is, I bought from Super Cheap Auto, premium starting fluid, premium strength starting fluid. Okay, so contains 25% ether. This is far more combustible than regular fuel. So what I'll do, I'll spray, and if you just look, I'll just spray straight down into the intake, okay, and hopefully we can get it to spark for us. I might just tinker with this the throttle cable to see if it's just something there. Just bend this tab forward and it might help. Well, still no, it's not firing yet, so I'll have to pull it apart a bit more, I think. Okay, so I got it to fire up. All I did was I just pulled off the throttle cable. As you can see, it's sitting over here now. And to get it to start, if you can see, I just held this forward. Okay, held it forward and it fired up just for a few turns. I'm thinking it's going to be dirty fuel or the carby's all clogged up. So I'll pull this apart and we'll see what we find. So as you can see, this is pretty grotty. This has probably never been serviced. It's very filthy from all the build-up of everything. Even just a small part of that, if it got into the carburetor down inside, it's going to damage it. Okay, so I'll have to pull this apart, have a look. Now, when you look at this, look at the colour. Look how dirty that fuel is. This is unleaded, and I just poured in unleaded from this dirty old fuel tank, and look at the colour difference. It's like a cocktail. That is amazing. That fuel must be absolutely filthy. Alright, I've taken those screws. This is the carburetor here. This is the fuel tank. There's 5 screws, as you can see. They're all the same size. And when we take this carby off the fuel tank, there should be a gasket, and there should be a membrane that sort of acts to sort of filter the fuel to some degree as well. So we'll see if that gasket and that membrane are intact. If they are intact, we might be able to use them. So that's the membrane, and when I say membrane, I mean this black part here. That's the membrane there. Okay, this here, if memory serves me, I think this is the jet that pulls up the fuel. That has a little mesh, little metal mesh in there to sort of prevent any large particles getting in. It's covered in like black stuff, and that, you know, this could be the main cause of the problem right here. So what I'm going to do is I might like let this soak. This can, yeah, I think this can sit in here, and I'll pour this cleaner fuel over the top of it. And I've just got a little parts brush, and I can just sort of give this a bit of a clean. It's already quite dirty, this fuel. Quite a lot of built up grime and grease, oil, carbon deposits built up on this carby. These Briggs & Stratton carburetors off the older style engines, they're quite simple. Simple is good because you can pull it apart fairly easy, but it also can be possibly bad sometimes because the slightest thing could just stop it from operating. But for me, if I was to be trying to fix a carburetor, I would prefer to use one of these Briggs & Stratton ones, because they are a lot easier to work with. That's already looking much better. You can see it is a lot cleaner now. And this black stuff here, this is just overspray when they painted the engine at the factory. There's always this overspray on these carbies, but that's just the normal plastic colour there. There's still a bit of cleaning required for this. I'm going to use carby cleaner for that. If you want a bit of an idea though, and I might just get the camera. Look how dirty that fuel is. Alright, I've just got some super cheap auto throttle body and carby cleaner spray. Just with this stuff, and with any sort of solvent, fuel or anything else, make sure you are wearing protective gloves, and regularly just check them if there's any holes in the gloves, because you don't want this really getting on your hands. I'm just going to give this a spray, and I'm probably going to have to buy a new gasket set, which is no big deal. And you want to be fairly liberal with the carby cleaner. It's not that expensive, and it does a pretty good job. Alright, that's looking much better. Not perfect, but it's much better. Okay, so I've fashioned up this little container, and what I might do, because I'm going to go down to Super Cheap soon, and I'll pick up some more degreaser, and so I might just use up this can, and when I come back I might just fill this up with degreaser. It always pays to give the fuel tank a good clean out, because a lot of the problems that you'll have with mowers is somewhere either in the carby or the fuel tank altogether. Okay, so that's all the parts of the carburetor and the fuel tank and the air filter housing. Just got it all in this one container. I'm probably just going to give this a good soak, and then we'll clean it up for good later on. Okay, so this is the spark plug that we pulled out earlier, but it did have a positive spark, but it's really grotty, it's really dirty, really grotty. I want to see if I can clean this up just a little bit, just using this wire wheel here. I'm not going to be too aggressive with it because I don't want to damage it. I also don't really want to change the gap on the spark plug. It's not very much. I have one of these little feeler gauges, and I should be able to sort of determine what the gap is now. So that's about the gap there. They say if it's not broken, don't fix it. So that's about 0.203 of a mil. Okay. All right. Let's leave that out as reference, and we'll get into it. Okay, so that's fairly cleaned up. Let's just see if we have the same gap. Yes, we do. I guess we'll only really know whether it's going to work when I put it back into the mower and try to crank it over, but really that was just to get rid of a lot of the carbon that was built up. We know that this plug works, as old as it is, so we could try to reuse things where we can. Okay, just a quick update everyone. I went to Mower City in Cairns, and I picked up a few things. Let's have a look now. So they kept it aside for me. I got this gasket and diaphragm. As you can see, the black one is the diaphragm, the grey one is the gasket, so that'll be nice. How much did that cost me? So that was $11 for that. We got this filter, this foam filter also from there. That filter cost me $9. You can see the difference, see the difference between the two filters. This one's not that bad. And you got a new set of blades as well. And the blades, they cost me $10. Over here, I've actually mixed up some water-based degreaser. I picked that up at Bunnings. It's about $6.70 for a litre. So you can mix that 1 part degreaser, 10 parts water. So it's an economical way of doing it. I've just got the whole fuel tank and all the carburetor just soaking. I'm probably going to soak that overnight, and then tomorrow I'll pull it apart and blow that out with the air compressor and put that back together. The mower looks a little bit nicer. Since I gave it a bit of a vacuum. It doesn't look too bad. I'm still contemplating whether to take this top shroud off and maybe give that a coat of paint. Other than that, all good.